Greetings, Jedis. This is Captain Rex, and you're watching Star Wars Nut 77, home of the Star Wars memorabilia reviews. Move out!
Hey, Star Wars fans, how you doing? My name is John, and I got a special guest online. I got Jon Bailey here with us. John, how's it going, man?
Going very well.
And John, why don't you explain to us who you are and what you do? I think it's very cool.
Oh, my name is Jon Bailey. I'm a professional voiceover artist or voice actor, depending on what I'm working on. I used to be a forklift driver, just a regular Joe. I've been doing impressions and stuff since I was a little kid. And one day, my wife made me a MySpace page, and I thought social networking was stupid. But saw a link based on my interests, and one of them was, audition for voiceover talent. And I just out of curiosity, I clicked the link. And they happened to have a studio. It was part of a national chain of production companies that was in my area, which is the Memphis tri-state area between Mississippi, Tennessee, Arkansas area.
Right.
And I was like, oh wow, I didn't know we had anything like that in Memphis. And I was like, that's cool. My wife's like, oh, you should totally go audition. I was like, no, that's stupid. Nobody's gonna want to hear that, you know. And she's like, well, the worst thing they can do is say no. And I was like, I guess you're right. So it was really close to Christmas, and I had called and asked, what should I do for the audition? And the guy said, well, just do a bunch of voices, as many as you can in about a minute should be plenty. And it was so close to Christmas, I did the night before Christmas with, a voice per line, basically.
Sure.
And I did about 30. I kind of edited the poem down to a minute's worth and did 30 different voices for him. And the producer's jaw just dropped. He's like, can you come back in a couple weeks? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And they cut me a demo, and they had me a contract signed by January, and I had my first audition February 1st emailed to me, and I had already booked my first job by the February 11th, I believe.
Wow.
And I've been doing it for 4 years now, almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years in February, and 2 years full-time.
Wow.
So I got to where, but one of the company I was working for, I had been doing it part-time during the morning and then working my regular job at night, and the company went bankrupt whenever the economy crashed. Sure. And they closed down our particular branch when they came out of bankruptcy. They closed down the building I was working at, and I was like, well, we have a little severance money. Let's try doing it full time. And I do YouTube videos just as a hobby, just for fun, because usually it's just voiceover stuff or parody stuff,
Yeah.
funny little nothing. And I had done something called the Movie Men Tribute, which I did 5 different movie trailer voice guys. And made a made-up trailer that I had come up with myself. And my manager now was just looking up Don LaFontaine, which is the guy, if you don't know, he's the godfather of the movie trailer voice.
Right.
And he was, people knew him once he did the Geico commercial, and it was the one where they said because of we hired a professional voiceover artist to make her story more interesting or whatever, and she said our car was underwater, and Don standing behind her going, in a world where her car was totally underwater. And that's where everybody instantly knew, oh, we know who that guy is now, because you hear him everywhere. And he passed away, and my manager was searching for other people that could do that kind of voice, and he found me. And of course, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he actually worked on movie trailers. And he said, hey, can you read a couple of scripts for me? I'm sure, whatever. And then when I got the scripts, it was for Extraordinary Measures with Brendan Fraser and Harrison Ford, Beastly with Vanessa Hudgens. It was the movie 9, not the cool version, the other drama, and Last Station, which was an Academy Award winner. And I was like, wow, these are real movies. Wow. And I did the auditions. I didn't really know what I was doing. I guess I was kind of auditioning for them. I didn't really realize they just asked me to read for them. And I ended up finishing on 3 of the things that they sent me. And she said, the booking agent said, congratulations, they're the first person that's ever booked that much the first time just trying out. And it was only a few weeks later he offered me a manager's contract. It was like $250,000 over 3 years. If you make this much money, you'll stay with me as a manager for many more years. And I was like, well, holy cow.
Wow.
And since then, I've actually lost count on how many projects that I've worked on. And I went to BotCon this past year. It's a big Transformers convention, biggest in the U.S. anyway.
Right.
And that's when I actually met my agent. So I've actually got an agent now with Abrams Artist Agency. And according to other voiceover artists that I know, it's one of the biggest and best in the country, which is really awesome. So I have a manager and an agent.
Wow.
And actually, it's been a really cool summer because this is the first time since I started doing this where most of the stuff I do, I hardly ever hear it. I know it's there, just never actually get to see it. And the trailer for the Insidious DVD is playing on television right now. I actually saw it, and I was like, holy cow, that's me.
I bet that's pretty, is that pretty trippy to hear your own voice?
It's really weird. It's like, whoa, I know that guy. And then the Disney XD Captain America like sneak peeks with Chris Evans. I didn't get to do much on there. They cut down my lines, but I am on there. I do the disclaimer about the following scenes may not be suitable for younger viewers and the rated PG-13 at the end.
Right.
But still, it was on U.S. national television, and I finished on my first U.S. theatrical trailer. I'm not vastly proud of it because it's not the kind of movie that I would normally go see, and it's not something I can brag to my parents about. It's a good old-fashioned orgy, but still, it's a U.S. theatrical trailer that I did. And which kind of brings us around. I'm a big nerd and I'm a big geek and Star Wars fan, Transformers fan, and one of the things on my bucket list was Star Wars stuff. And I was like, I'd like to do something for Star Wars, even if it's just a commercial or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was actually a really great story because they sent me an audition with the very first studio that I started working with. Sent me an audition and they said Star Wars Clone Wars, and I was like, oh no way, I've never get any auditions like this one. And the power went out that night, and I couldn't record. My wife had been sick with. My wife usually mails the bills in, and she was sick with the flu, and I didn't know that it needed to be paid because she normally takes care of it. And I was like, no, and I had to leave for work, and they said, well, we can't get your power restored till 7:30, and I would have had to be at work at 4. I was like, oh man, come on. So on my way to work, I called the studio and I begged the booking agent. I said, please, please let me do this audition. Let me do it like tonight. You'll be waiting on your producers in the morning. Please, at least let me get a show. She's like, all right, let me see what I can do. She put me on hold for a while and she talked to a few people. And she called me. She's like, okay, just this one time, we'll let you audition. Just send it in as soon as you get home tonight and then have it waiting on us first thing in the morning. And I was like, okay. So I did the audition. It was for Captain Rex. And I didn't know exactly what it was for, but I knew that it was Star Wars.
Right.
And I was like, well, at least now I can sleep at night, knowing that I gave it a shot, rather than spending restless nights wondering, I wonder if I had auditioned, would I have got the job? And like 3 or 4 weeks went by, I didn't hear anything about it. I was like, oh well, at least I gave it a shot. I can have peace that at least I tried. Right. And then I got a call from him saying, hey, you booked that job, and I was like, well, which one? She's like, the Star Wars one. I was like, no way. Wow. And when I got to the studio, they did a whole campaign. For the new Clone Wars toys, and it was kind of the running theme was Captain Rex is introducing all these different toys, so he narrates all of them. Okay. So I did it was either 4 or 5 different Star Wars commercials, and that was the first commercial I saw that I did the voice for, that it was on national television. It was playing on Nickelodeon. I believe it was on Cartoon Network as well.
That's pretty wild.
And my kids were freaking out like, hey, that's Daddy, and I was like trying to find, versions of them online so I could show my parents and my friends and stuff in case they didn't have cable or whatever. And I was just so proud of it. And then that later on, a different department called me up, sent me auditions for something else with the same exact voice. And when I got there, I found out that it was for the toy. It wasn't for the commercials, it was for an actual toy. And that was another thing on my list of things to do, was to actually be the voice for a toy. I thought that would be the coolest thing, to have a toy, and no pun intended, but to actually be able to play with myself. Right. They said that in the first one I got actually was the Clone Wars. They said it was going to be they called it the Helmet and a Half show. And since I'm recording this on video, I'll let you see it, but you'll be able to see when I send the video to you. Right. This is what the helmet looks like. It looks like a mask, but it's real thick and sturdy, like an actual helmet. Yeah, except that you wear it like it's hollowed. The back of it's hollowed out, and it's got 20 different phrases on it. And I do all 20 of them. So that's me in this toy.
Sound the alarm. Take those droids down.
So say something real quick, and then Rex is
those clankers have tough armor.
Let's move.
Go, go, go.
So it was so much fun doing the script, and actually that was one of my favorite sessions too, because the girl that did the toy, she was when the ISDN actually connected where I could hear them and they could hear me. The first thing I heard was about Transformers, because I'm a huge Transformers fan.
Right.
And she was talking about how she couldn't find anybody to match the voice of animated Bumblebee. And I think the first thing I said was like, what's the matter, BossBot? Got to shorten your motherboard? She's like, oh, where were you? Like 3 months ago. I was like, I don't know. I want to do a Transformers toy. and my claim to YouTube fame is my Optimus Prime impression. And I finally got to meet Peter Cullen himself this year. It was a real honor. He was so gracious. And he actually asked me to do the voice for him, which was even a bigger honor. Because I I swore that I wasn't going to because I would not want to insult my hero.
Right.
But I said, yeah, I do a great Optimus Prime impression. She's like, oh really? Can I hear it? I was like, oh sure. Before time began, there was the cube, and I did the entire movie intro. And the producers go, "Are you reading a script?" I'm like, "No, I memorized that." He's like, "Wow, that was impressive." And she's like, "That was the best I've ever heard." And I actually worked with Peter Cullen himself, so she just got twice. She works on Star Wars and on Transformers. That was like twice as cool in my book.
That is awesome.
So we recorded for the first one. And that was the first one that I did. And then the second one I got was for Anakin Skywalker. And they were looking for an Anakin Skywalker sound-alike. And they gave me the script, and it was a bunch of clips from the show. It was, "What's the status, Rex?" And all these little one-phrase things. And when I got to the studio, none of the stuff I auditioned for was on the script. And then when they're like, "Wait a minute, didn't you do the voice of Captain Rex too?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, wow, you do both." And I was like, "Where's the rest of the script? These are all just a bunch of words, names, and grunts and stuff." And he's like, "Oh, well, the thing is, they're releasing two versions of this toy. They're releasing an international version, and they're releasing a U.S. version. The U.S. version has, the chips, the sound chip in it, that just has clips from the show. And then the international version, we didn't want anything in there that can be translated into any other language, so we can only use names of characters and the word Jedi. Apparently, Jedi can't be translated in any other language.
Okay.
And some emotions and fighting sounds like grunts and stuff." It was the strangest session I've ever done because it was trying to fit feelings and emotion and portray what's going on without actually saying anything and just saying somebody's name like Ahsoka. And I could say Rex, but I couldn't say Captain Rex. It was so weird.
That is bizarre.
And I've searched forever trying to get it. It's the Anakin Skywalker Force Action Battler, and it came out last fall, I believe. But I've got some friends in the UK, and they finally found one, so they're going to ship it to me, so I'll actually be able to have a copy of that one.
That's cool.
And then the last one that I did just came out. Both of the mask and this one came out this past week. I was just glancing through Target, and I was like, "Holy crap, that's the one I did the voice for." This is the Republic Attack Ship, and this is a personal favorite because this is a really cool toy.
Right.
It also cost a lot more money.
Right.
But my battery's about to die on the camera. You may have to edit this. Anyway, so it does so many different things. When you move the wings down, it makes noises, and then it's got 4 different buttons on there. Here, there's got a voice of clone trooper voice.
We're on course and all systems are green.
And that one's not me.
We're coming out of hyperspace.
That's not me.
We got company.
That's me. So there's 3 different trooper voices on here, and it's got one firing button that has a bunch of different sound effects, depending on how you play with it, and then it's got a actual battle scene button that plays out 2 or 3 minutes worth of battle.
Wow. What's it retail for?
It's $79.99.
Yeah.
So it's got
That's cool.
Enemy ships entering our sector.
it actually plays out the entire
Enemy
scene.
ships closing.
So
It's
say
like-
Ryan real quick in Anakin's voice.
Battle stations.
Okay.
Hurry along.
Let's see. The last one I did was, "What's the status, Rex?" "Come on, Ahsoka. I've got a plan." So they were freaking. I was like, "Oh, is it the same guy that did the Anakin voice or the Captain Rex voice?" And yeah, I was doing Anakin. So I've got 3 toys now that all have my voice on them, and I'm so proud because I'm already a Star Wars fan. It's so
Sure.
cool not only to have a Star Wars toy, but to actually hear me on a Star Wars toy. And one this cool because it turns into a base. It comes with a figure. It's got just tons and tons of different cool features, and I mean, it's got. I believe I counted up. It's got 80 phrases on it, something like
Wow,
that.
really?
That's a lot of.
That is a lot.
Yeah. And it actually, according to the, I haven't done much with this, but according to the instructions, the attack of the what's it called? The actual battle scene button
Right.
that plays out, whole battle scenes. It will change as it plays based on how you're playing with the toy. So if you're, pushing other buttons or doing other things with the toy, the phrases and the sound effects in the battle scene will actually change depending on how you're playing with it. So that's it's really interactive. So yeah, I mean, I'm not only a huge fan, but if I was a kid, I would love this. I would play the crap out of this thing.
It's awesome.
It's a pretty pricey figure though for a Star Wars toy, but it's not as bad as the Millennium Falcon is.
Yeah,
But still, so yeah, I got a bunch of toys of myself.
So your next thing is to be a Transformers toy, huh? Just a
Yeah, actually, that was what I was going to next. The last thing on my besides actually being on a Transformers animated series, one of the very last things on my list was being a Transformers toy. And they actually made a quad changer. I know you know about this being a Star Wars fan. They made a quad changer Star Wars crossovers Transformers figure that turns into a ship and Anakin and Vader and another ship. So it turns into 4 different vehicles. It's on pre-order right now, but it's supposed to be out any time now. And I did the voice of Anakin on that as well, and it's got full phrases on it. It's not just it's not like the Action Force battle.
Yeah. Wow. That's
So
cool.
yes, and I've got it pre-ordered already. It's $45, so it's gonna be because just the fact that it's a Transformer. It may not be a Transformer, but it's still Transformers. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, those are cool. Those crossover Star Wars.
Yeah, and it's got the voice of Anakin, and I didn't do the voice of Vader, but I did the voice of Anakin. So we'll see. But they actually had asked me if I did Vader's voice, which I did, but they probably found somebody better. They're actually trying to book.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I said you can do a pretty good Vader.
I can do a decent Vader, but they were actually trying to hire the guy who does Chad Vader because he had already worked on the video games for the Force Unleashed. So they were and I actually met him at DragonCon last year. He's actually a pretty cool guy. But
cool.
I said, did they ever contact you? He's like, no. I was like, don't worry, they probably will. They're actually looking specifically for you because they're trying to give it some continuity, sounding like the same guy who does the video game doing the voice for the toy type thing. So anyways, but yeah, cool. So I got to be a Transformer Star Wars toy, and I got to be a helmet, a ship, and an action figure.
What a cool gig, man! It's awesome. You do it for a living.
That's the coolest thing is that I don't have to. Yeah, I get paid just to have fun because trust me, it's a lot of fun doing these kind of things.
What other voiceovers? Whatever voice work can you do? What other?
Most of what I do is letting you know when a DVD or a movie's coming out. Yeah. So if you do hear me, you'll probably hear me on July 22nd, October 31st on DVD and Blu-ray, coming soon. And I worked on a lot of romantic comedies of different type read. There's I did one for Easy A. There's a word for girls like Olive. Easy A, rated PG-13. So yeah, but my internet claim to fame is Transformers and G.I. Joe stuff. But yeah, I do a lot of different characters. In fact, my website for the longest time was just manofone1000voices.com. And I thought that sounded a little bit haughty, so I changed it to JonBaileyVO.com. But I honestly have never actually counted how many. I think I lost track around 567 when I was trying to count which voices I did, either celebrity impressions or unique characters or just accents or actual characters or just I never really I couldn't keep track of all of them. It was always just a skill just to make people laugh because I started off just doing impressions. I would make my wife would just crack up. I'd go through the drive-through at McDonald's or something and I would be like, hey, you guys sell tacos? And she just but it was never anything I could make money with. And I would always my friends would always crack up. They were like, do walking. I was like, I don't know what you mean. I'm not going to do walking right now for you because I don't feel good. But then they were like, oh man, you should totally do that. And I didn't think, I had been told before by other professionals that you can't make a living doing impressions of other people. So, I never thought anything about it, but then I found out that you actually can make money. There's ADR work, which means there's people that do celebrity voices in a movie whenever the audio is not clear. There's somebody who does ADR, which means they come in and they record as that celebrity to fill in that audio so the audience can understand when they watch the film. And you'll never even know. Wow. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the movie called Heat with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. The majority of Robert De Niro's lines were re-recorded by somebody else, believe it or not. Really? And you can't even tell the difference.
Yeah, you would never know.
So so there's the ADR, then there's always people looking for celebrity impressions to do, like voicemail work, or I did Arnold Schwarzenegger for some kind of, I forget what it was. It was like some kind of convention for either lawyers or realtors or something like that. And it was in California, so I was doing, because Arnold was the governor at the time. Right. So I was doing, got to get down to the arena. You learn more than ever before.
That's awesome.
How to sell real estate.
So you've been doing voices, it sounds like, for most of your life. It just
I started off as a really, really young child. It was like 4 or 5, something like that. I was imitating. The very first voice I ever did an imitation of was Grover. Yeah. And, of course, Grover led to doing Yoda. And then it was probably Mr. Rogers. And I remember as a little bitty kid being like, can you say that? I know you could. So it was like Sesame Street characters. And then I heard Peter Cullen do the intro for the Voltron show. And from the very first time I heard him say, "Voltron, defender of the universe," I was like, wow, I want to do that when I grow up. But it was always just kind of a pipe dream thing. And then when I heard him again as Optimus Prime, I was immediately hooked on Transformers. And then as I started growing up, my brother was always really, really big into cartoons as well. And he and I kind of got interested on who was doing which character, and we started realizing, you know, this guy's doing the voice of this character and this character, and then we hear the same person doing the same, having a bit of a storm over here if you didn't notice. He would be like, you know, that sounds like the same guy on this other show that's doing this character. So we started trying to figure out who it was and which characters they did, and he actually has a very popular blog that has to do with voice actors in the news. So if you go to I believe all you have to do is do a search on voice actors in the news and you'll find it. So he got me really interested on who did what, and he got Patrick Fraley, who did the voice of Krang in Ninja Turtles. He got his cassette tapes on how to do audio characters, and I learned a lot about how to do character. We actually memorized those tapes. So I learned tons about how to do audio character or do characters from those tapes. We just listened to them over and over and over again. And but I kind of went against the grain. A lot of people said, don't pursue this career, you're not ready, you need to have this much money saved up, you need to go to this school or take this coaching class or do this, you know, whatever. And I was like, look, I've got a shot. These people want me to audition for them, you know, and making money is better than not making money, or putting it off for years and years and not making any money. At least I can see what happens, and here I am. I'm a full-time voice actor now. You know, I don't do anything else besides this. And I've heard myself on TV 2 or 3 times this week. I bought the Insidious DVD because a friend of mine on Facebook, who also does voices, you probably know him, he's a big YouTuber. His name is Brock Baker. McGoiter is his channel. Okay. He contacted me. He's like, dude, did you do a Jean-Claude Van Damme trailer? I was like, yeah, it's just Assassination Games. He's like, dude, I rented Insidious and I heard your trailer. I was like, no ways. Awesome. So I went and got it, and not only that, I did the trailer right after that too. I did 2 previews that played during the previews before the movie does. Fantastic. For Assassination Games and Never Back Down to The Beatdown. Wow. And those are the kind of movies I like doing because I always end up getting to do the action movie trailer voice. Never Back Down to The Beatdown. Rated R. Or whatever it is. Yeah, right on. So that's the first time I've ever bought a DVD just because I did the trailers before the movie started.
So John, does it hurt your voice when you do stuff like this, or no?
No, there's very, very few voices that really, really damage my vocal cords. I've found ways. I didn't have any professional training. I just had, I had Pat Fraley's tapes, which had a lot of suggestions on them. But most of the stuff I just kind of learned on my own through trial and error. One of the voices that used to hurt would be like the Dr. Claw type voice. Right. I'll get you next time, Gadget. Next time. But then I found a way past that, because a lot of people, they're using their vocal cords way too much, and they don't have to. They really just have to. All you have to do is let the air pass past your voice through your throat without damaging anything. And any voices that just require a lot of throat work. There's one character that I do. I don't really have a name for him, but he has this kind of sound, and his voice is very low and distinct and evil. But if you do that voice too long or too hard, you could actually hurt yourself. So I have to pace myself, and I change up how the character talks, kind of as, you know, I go up and down instead of just maintaining that one, that one pitch, and that keeps my voice from hurting. But there's the only time I really hurt myself is when I'm doing like a video game type thing. I have to scream a lot, because in a video game you get killed or you're attacking something, so so anytime you're having to go, like, you do that for a few hours, and you're gonna have a sore throat.
What video games have you been in?
Sadly under non-disclosure agreements, not to talk about it again. But when they come out, I'll be proud to say, hey, that's me.
Right on. So what's the future, man? What do you have planned for the future?
Well, I've still got a lot of money left on this contract, so hopefully I'll be making a lot more money in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
With the new agent, I'm really hoping to book an animated series of some kind. There are some pilots that I'm working on for, I can't really say what, but they're for networks that show cartoons. Okay. I really won't say which one. You can probably figure it out, though, if you ever have a brain. So hopefully the pilots will get picked up, and I'll be able to say that, I'm on, a network show, and that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I hope to. My goal is to be in that very, very elite group. There's only 3 guys that I know about it, that I know of, that are in the group. There's Tom Kane, Jim Cummings, and Peter Cullen. And those 3 guys not only do character work, but they also do movie trailers, or at least they have. Right. Peter Cullen hasn't done many trailers lately, but he's basically just does Optimus Prime these days. But those three guys, and of course you know Tom Kane because he does the voice of Yoda as well as several other
Sure.
characters on Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Right.
But he also does, every time you hear any kind of like the Smurfs or Up, any child's movie, Tom Kane usually is the guy that does the trailers for it.
Wow.
So you know, I want to be in that. That's a very, very elite group. So I kind of got a very specific goal in mind. I would like to be in that group, and I'd like to create characters that people are imitating me one day. You know, whenever I go to conventions, they're like, "Oh yeah, I do a great version of you."
Yeah.
I'd love to hear that.
You got a very inspirational story, and thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, man.
Where can people find you? Oh, thanks, man. And you have an awesome channel. I know you do the Optimus Prime reviews with the Optimus Prime voice. But where can you?
Yeah, a lot of my friends do toy reviews,
Right.
and I always thought toy reviews are just, you know, I didn't think they were that big of a deal. It's just somebody looking at a toy, and they kept bugging me, because I've got some friends that got huge amounts of subscribers. My friend Sean Long has got 45, 50,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, you should do toy reviews. I'm like, no, I don't want to. and I was like, and I thought, you know, what if I do it, I'm not really going to do it for real. I'll do like a parody version. I'll be like a bad reviewer on purpose.
Right.
And I just had the idea, you know, it'd be really funny for a character to review himself, or, you know, what a toy looks like from a character's perspective. And the whole concept wrapped around the idea of what would a giant alien robot know about human toys. So I came up with the idea of Optimus Prime actually reviewing toys, and he always loves toys of himself, so he always praises every Optimus Prime figure. And then if it's a toy like Megatron, he hates it and he beats it up, or he breaks it on purpose. And honestly, I didn't think I had anything on my hands except just another video for people to laugh at. But when I actually watched one back and it made me crack up, the one where I reviewed United Megatron, which is the overseas version of the classics Megatron, for the newer version.
Right.
And I mistransformed him on purpose. Well, Optimus Prime mistransformed him on purpose, and put, "This is the I just got the crap kicked out of me by Optimus Prime mode." And I just laughed, and then all of a sudden it was getting thousands and thousands of views on a regular basis. It averaged like 3,000 or 4,000 views a piece. I was like, well, then maybe there's something to this thing. So I started doing more reviews. And I'd like to do more reviews from based on other characters. I'd like to do, you know, Captain Rex reviewing himself. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah,
because that is me, you know. So that's not too far fetched. Some people think it's a dumb idea. It's just there's so many people doing it. You know, I didn't want to be just another guy who's showing off a toy.
Yeah.
I wanted to have something that was unique to me, something nobody else was doing, and I think I think it's a good idea. I think it's a funny, entertaining. It's more entertaining than it is informational, because I'm not doing a real professional review. It's really more of a parody, but it does show off enough of the toy to give people an idea. Hey, I'd like to get this. No, I don't like this. You know,
you're making it unique in your own too, which I think is
you know, it's just something to do. And like I said, this whole thing with YouTube started as a hobby, and now it's actually a job because I'm a partner.
Right.
So now I actually have to work, and what am I going to do today? I've got to have something to make.
I feel the same way with my channel. It feels like a job, but it's fun. You know, it's all fun the same.
Yeah, it's actually fun. And I'd rather make videos and do voiceovers and make commercials and cartoons and do trailers than be back working 8 to 16 hours a day driving a forklift and doing my job. So.
Many congratulations to you and your success so far. And,
thank you.
I look forward to seeing what you plan on coming out with in the future, man. So.
Yeah, I think the next idea I had was I thought about doing a Cowboys and Aliens after credit scene. I don't know if you watched any after credit scenes. I don't do a lot of people get upset because they're not the actual after credit scenes, but I make them entertaining.
Yeah, I know.
So people won't be, you know, at least they won't be wasting their time.
They're funny.
But you know, and it's not like I'm trying to get noticed. I want people just to be able to laugh. I always make them very short, so they're not wasting half an hour. Yeah. It's 20, 30 seconds. It's funny. It's fairly well done. Right. And I kind of wanted to do have Indiana Jones standing next to James Bond, and then have like a horde of aliens headed toward him, and just have Indy be like, "Aliens, why did it have to be aliens?"
That's good.
So maybe that's something like that, you know, on down the road. And I actually plan on doing some serious stuff. I plan on actually, I won't give too much away, but I'm going to create a series coming out this fall called Transformers Generation 1. And there's actually a trailer for it on my channel if you want to go check it out. But I don't want to give too much away. But it's a lot of these guys that do articulated comic book art, and they actually take their figures and recreate scenes straight from comic books. It's something similar to that, but it's also more like a television show. It's kind of a mix of both. I'm going to do more trailers and more stuff to kind of give the idea away of what it is without actually coming out and saying this is what it is, just so people will get interested in it. And then when they see it, they're going to be, oh, wow, I'm glad I actually watched it. So, you know, I'm known for doing funny stuff and doing voices, but I actually want to create something that people will actually like to watch on a regular basis. It's like kind of like a mini show that they can watch on their cell phone at work, and you know, they don't have to be at home or DVR it.
I'll put a link to your channel below. What is your channel name, just so people know? I mean,
well, I go by Jon 3.0, but unfortunately YouTube wouldn't let me have the dot. So I condensed Jon 3.0 down to Jon 3PNT0.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, and then I found out that there was a Dan 3.0 out there. I'm like, man.
Isn't that always the case?
I didn't know. I swear I didn't know about him at all when I came up with that name. I just kind of got stuck with it.
Well, again, we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining my talk, and I wish you best of luck, man. We'll keep in touch.
No problem.
Check out Star Wars Not on YouTube. Rated R.
Awesome, man. All right, take care, dude. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.